How's it going, everyone? We gotta talk a little bit about Star Wars Jedi Survivor, as there are a plethora of issues plaguing every version of the game currently, and the EA Star Wars Twitter account did put out an update that they are working on some stuff. Want to give you guys my opinions on that, and also something that has upset a lot of people in regards to the physical copy of the game. We'll talk about that as well. Brief video here. As you guys probably have heard at this stage of the game, Jedi Survivor, one of the most anticipated games of the year, has a litany of issues. This is one of the worst performing games that I have seen in a long time. Nonetheless, Gotham Knights did come out, but that game was hard locked to 30 frames per second on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series. It wasn't a case of, there being a performance mode or anything like that. In the case of Jedi Survivor, there's a lot of bugs, there's a lot of crashes, and I am personally playing the game on PC. EA provided me a copy of the game, and I am enjoying it to an extent, but man, on PC, I feel like it's even worse than the console versions because the frame rate will legitimately dip into the low 20s. Like, it's really, really bad on PC. There's a lot of aspects of the game that I really, really like. There is so much content in this game versus Jedi Fallen Order. Like, it is a gigantic Star Wars experience, and I think if all of the performance issues were ironed out, it would be a really good game. But outside of performance issues, there are a lot of graphical hiccups that I've had. I haven't had crashes or anything like that, but we're talking about really bad pop-in, textures looking bad, and just graphical issues. I've had some, bugs here and there as far as like NPCs acting wonky and all that. That's not game-breaking or anything like that, but visually, the game doesn't look that great. And bear in mind, I am playing this game maxed out on PC, and the thing with the PC version of the game is, whether you play it maxed out or you play it at like low settings, you're not getting 60 frames per second on the PC version of this game, at least not a consistent 60 frames per second. It's just not happening, and it is dipping in frames really hard, and generally speaking, the PC version of the game has a plethora of issues that are varying from person to person, and then also the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series version has a litany of issues. We're talking, performance hiccups, stuttering on the console versions as well. It is a really, really bad experience, all things together, if you want to assess it objectively. And it's kind of surprising that this game did get like straight 9s across the board, because you really can't ignore the bugs right now. I can say that I'm enjoying the game beyond the bugs, but the bugs have to take away like 3 or 4 points out of a 10 right off the bat. Once it's fixed, we can revisit, the scoring of the game then, but I don't understand how the game is getting 8s, 9s across the board. I believe it has an 86 on Metacritic as well, or OpenCritic, and that's just, you can't possibly give a game the score like that. Maybe what it was the review copies, and people that reviewed it were like, okay, these issues will be ironed out with the day one patch, and there was a colossal day one patch that dropped. I don't know if that really improved performance that much versus the pre-release copy, but if it did, that means the pre-release copy was even more of an abomination, which is wild to think about. Now, EA Star Wars did tweet out, Cal's newest journey in the galaxy far, far away has begun, and we're excited for you to experience it. They already noted, our first patch will arrive on launch day across all platforms. It fixes bugs, improves performance, and adds more accessibility feature. The team at Respawn has also committed to weeks of patches aimed at bug fixes and performance improvements, along with additional accessibility features on top of what's available right now. Now, if you remember, Jedi Survivor was already delayed for 6 weeks, so the fact that we had a 6-week delay, I think we can understand why that delay happened at this stage of the game, because the game itself, like, if you strip away all of the performance issues, it's a really, there's a good game in here. There's absolutely a good game buried in here, but the performance issues, for some people, it's going to completely break the experience for them. I always say that a game being playable versus unplayable, a lot of people are throwing around unplayable, a lot of other people are throwing around the idea that people are overreacting. Playable versus unplayable is a subjective argument. Everybody is going to have a different opinion of what's playable versus unplayable. For me, I'm trying to beat the game while dipping to 22 frames per second. Would a lot of people do that? Probably not. I'm going to try to do it. So, but if I was to give my overall assessment of at least the PC version of the game and what I've seen out of the console version, I don't understand how you can give a high mark to this game. If anything, if you want to say patches are going to come out, then you gotta wait to review the game or something to that effect. It's just really, really unfortunate what's happened. And again, console versions, PC versions, and the PC version seemingly is worse than the console version, but none of the versions at this stage of the game are acceptable. hopefully in a couple weeks this will be ironed out and it'll be a lot better by the end of the year, and hopefully by that point, you know, the people that didn't pick up the game can get it for 50% off, get it for like $35 during the holidays. I was saying that I don't think this game is going to see a steep discount for a while, but I mean, if the reception has been like this, maybe it will get discounted very quickly. I was not expecting to get a game that had this many performance issues, especially when the reviews dropped Wednesdays and you were seeing a lot of 9 out of 10s. I was like, okay, this game seems to be a really polished, well-made game, and you look at Jedi Fallen Order, that game runs beautifully on the PlayStation 5. I know that this game, like, you get to the first world and you're like, holy hell, this game's a lot bigger than Jedi Fallen Order. So much side content, so much additional content. We're talking about, you know, a full 100% run of this game taking 40 to 50 hours. Like, this is a sizable experience, all things considered. Then you got New Game Plus if you want to jump into that as well. There has always also been a discussion point about the physical version of the game. So if you did not pick up the game physically, you don't know this, but generally speaking, the reason that people buy disc-based games is because they want to own something, and for a lot of people, it's for preservation. They want to constantly have it, you know, there's always the issue of what if the online servers go down, etc., etc. Well, in the case of Jedi Survivor, the idea of preservation is kind of thrown out the window, given the fact that the physical copy, you can boot up the game and you can play the early portion of the game, but ultimately, the game will halt you, and there is a digital download that is required to access the entirety of the game, and you know, that is a bummer for people that love to buy physical copies of games, and the idea of physical copies, again, for a lot of people, it's for preservation, and you also have to consider the fact, a $70 game. I'm sorry, now that we're pricing games at $70, I have to have at least a bit of a higher standard for what these games are gonna be in terms of quality. Like, you have to drop a very polished game if it's a $70 title. That's not a joke. Like, $70 is a lot of money after you're talking tax and everything like that. God forbid you bought the digital deluxe edition and you got completely fleeced for some cosmetics, but nonetheless, that's a lot of money to be dropping on these games, and the fact that you're dropping $70 for a game that isn't finished. Like, let's be real here. This game isn't finished, and it probably should have been delayed until the fall. It would have upset a lot of people, but ideally, the summer should have been a period where they really polished up this game, and then you could have set up the game for a fall release. I guess they really wanted to get it out early 2023, but this is the state that the game is currently in, and I cannot, in good faith, give it a recommendation at that $70 price tag. I know I've been promoting that $10 gift card, but that was before I really knew how bad the console version of the game was. So, very disappointing, as this is one of the most anticipated games of the year, but I see it on social media a lot with the release of this game. It seems like the regular thing in gaming these days is release game, then release statement of apology that the game is not up to our standards, then fix game, profit. Like, that seems like this is going to be a regular occurrence in gaming, and it's just, like, really disappointing when it comes to really highly anticipated games like a Star Wars. And you know, you can make the argument about the physical disc-based thing. That's happened to other games. We're talking about Nintendo Switch titles, you know, requiring downloads on top of their cartridge, and Modern Warfare 2 required a download, but that is an online-focused game. This is a single-player title, so that does sting a little bit more. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. Let's hope that the fixes that are going to be dropping over the next few weeks are really going to improve performance. But we're talking about people with legitimate, you know, $3,000-$4,000 gaming PCs that can't maintain even 50 frames per second, let alone 60. It's a train wreck, and I'm not going to say this is the most technically impressive game that I've seen this generation. It's not. It's an okay-looking game, and there are some definite, you know, high moments for this title, but is it the best-looking game of the generation? Far from it. So, yeah, very disappointing. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.